York's classic rock, Q1043.
Welcome back. Jonathan Clark in the studio with a legend. His name is Gary Numan. How are you, man?
I'm very well, thank you.
You look fantastic. What's your secret, man? You haven't aged. How do you do it?
Hair dye and makeup.
Hair. Anyway, your new album, Savage, Songs from a Broken World. It is your 22nd album. And of course, we all know the great songs like Cars and R and Friends and Electric. A pioneer of electronic music. Congratulations, by the way, on the Ivor Novello Award.
Yeah, thank you.
That was very recently, right?
Yeah, in May.
And now tell us what that is. That's BASCA. Is that who it is?
It's a songwriting organisation, and then Ivor Novello is awarded to you by other songwriters. So it's not something done by the public based on whether you just had a big single or not.
By your peers, in essence, right?
So it really means something. It was a huge thing for me.
Yeah, and it was the category was inspiration, right?
Yeah.
Which is perfect because you're such a pioneer of electronic music. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
I read that David Bowie said that you wrote two of the finest songs.
Yeah, so I read that.
And what songs was he talking about?
Well, I guess it was Cars and R Friends Electric, but I don't actually know, but I've always assumed it was those.
Did you ever meet David? Did you ever paths cross? No?
Well, paths crossed a few times.
Yeah.
In the same room a few times.
Right,
Never actually had a conversation, no.
And you have influenced so many bands and artists over the years. I mean, so many, but the ones that come to mind are like Nine Inch Nails and Beck, Damon Albarn from Blur, even Kanye West. Now, did he ever use any of your stuff in his songs or no?
No, I really don't know. A lot of these things are somebody. I think the Kanye thing was he was listening to certain records to get production ideas, that kind of thing. So
right.
The influence appears to be varied.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's songwriting, sometimes it's sound, sometimes it's production ideas.
Yeah.
It's people sample my stuff and they'll take a tiny snippet of a song. Other people will do cover versions of the whole song.
Yeah.
Like Nine Inch Nails did that and so on. So it seems to be a very variable thing.
I always wonder for a guy like you that's been around for a while, when you have these artists that haven't been around as long, when they start doing that, it's got to be very complimentary, I would think, towards you.
Oh,
right?
yeah, it is. But it's very flattering when anyone sort of talks about you as being an influence. But if you've got someone like Foo Fighters, for example, or Trent Reznor in particular, obviously for me, when people like that who are great songwriters in their own right do a cover version of one of your songs, I mean, that's a pat on the back of an Ivor Novello kind of
right,
level.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that's other people who don't need to cover songs because they're great in their own right.
Right, exactly.
So it means a lot.
They're doing it for the love, really. I mean, the love of your music.
Pat on the back, as far as I'm concerned. It's a very. I still. I mean, I don't take that for granted.
Yeah.
It's a very. It's a very, very cool thing, and I still get really excited when it happens.
His name is Gary Numan. The new album is Savage, Songs from a Broken World. And it's interesting on that sort of topic. Today's pop music is really electronic, but people don't call it that anymore. But there's so much going on electronically. Some people saying the guitar is dying. I mean, but they've said that for 40 years, when other things like that happen. But it's interesting that your father did not give you a keyboard. He gave you a Les Paul guitar, right? At the age of 15 or something?
No, he gave me my first guitar when I was really little, 4 or 5, acoustic guitar. I had a few of them. Electric guitar when I got a bit older. I wasn't a keyboard champion.
Yeah.
Still not, really. I use them the way I use anything else.
Right.
I was a guitar player. I was in a punk band.
Yeah.
In the late 77, 78-ish. And we went to the studio to record our first. We got signed by a record label called Beggar's Banquet as a 3-piece punk band. Went to a recording studio to record our first album as a guitar, bass, drums band. That's what we've been signed, and that's what our songs were. We get to the studio, and while the other two are unloading the gear, I go in and say hello to the engineer to introduce ourselves. And there was a mini Moog, a little synth in the corner. I'd never seen one before. I'd never had any interest in keyboard. Didn't have a piano at home, nothing like that. But they let me have I'm about quite geeky, so I was quite fascinated with the switches and the knobs and dials and that on it. And they let me have a go of it. He let me have a go of it. And by the time the other two had finished unloading the gear and setting it up, I changed everything. You know, I thought that the noises coming out of that thing, that Mini Moog, were just unbelievable, and I fell in love with it immediately. And in the course of those sessions, just changed all my guitar.
Did you plug the Moog into your guitar pedals or something? I read that too.
I have done that.
Yeah,
but it's all about creating interesting sounds and noises. I don't. This is why I'm not a particular champion of synthesizers. You know, I just like making noises.
Yeah.
And I don't really care whether it's
the chief noisemaker.
But that's the fun of it. You know, find a vocabulary of noises and then find a way of making them musical.
Yeah.
It used to be synthesizers were the best thing for it. Now it's software, and you know, there's a whole world out there that makes noises.
Every day there's like new stuff. It's
I at one point I sort of mentioned this a lot, but at one point we found a big metal pipe with a lump of concrete on the end of it, and we dragged that around all over this place, over metal drains, over all different kinds of surfaces, recording everything.
Right, yeah.
That's an example of the sort of things that are out there. It's just about sound,
right?
Building up sound. You know, so I have no problem with the guitar at all.
Yeah.
The guitar's in no danger.
Yeah,
of going anywhere.
Yeah,
but if it makes a great noise, fantastic. If you can plug it into a few things and make an even better noise, great.
Yeah.
If you can't, then find something else.
Right.
You know, that's all it is. Even down to the way you use your voice and so on.
Yeah.
Lots of ways of making good sounds.
That's Gary Numan. His new album is Savage, Songs from a Broken World, his 22nd album. Your parents were very supportive of you, I read, too. They bought you a PA system, like early on or something?
Yeah, really early on. Yeah, so we got the record deal. My mum and dad paid for the recording session where I found the synth, funnily enough, where we made the demos and all the rest of it. They got me a really nice guitar when I was young. I was really spoilt.
Yeah. No, wait, do you still have that Les Paul?
Yeah, it's the only one I've got, yeah.
What year is it?
Well, I got it would have been 74. In fact, the one that I've got, my Sunburst Les Paul, my friend was reading the Gibson story at school when I was still a kid, because I had it when I was at school still.
Yeah.
The envy of all my friends.
Oh, my God.
He was reading the Gibson story, and there's this, apparently they're called seconds. There's something not quite right with them. They play right, but there's something, you know, cosmetically not right with them.
Yeah, yeah.
And they stamp a 2 in the back of the top of the neck. And he was making fun of me. You know, wouldn't it be funny if yours had a 2 in it? and it did.
It did.
Yeah,
wow.
And I had no idea. So I've got a reject Les Paul that I've had my entire life from when I was about 15, I think. Still got it. It's been on every record I've ever made, every tour I've ever done.
Right.
It's the only thing that I really would be heartbroken if it was taken away.
Exactly. Gary Numan is with us. His new album is Savage, Songs from a Broken World. You had success rather quickly, #1 albums and singles, big tours. That can be difficult when you're a young kid, right? I mean, it's hard to get used to that and adjust to that all of a sudden, right?
Yeah, the workload isn't a big deal. It's the way people change. You know, it exposes you to quite a lot of extreme points of view, good and bad.
Yeah,
and that can be a bit wearing. And something that has been a hobby for a while suddenly becomes a multi-million-dollar business, and you're seen as product.
Yeah,
and disposable.
Right.
And you have to adapt to that very, very quickly. And it is difficult. And I've got Asperger's syndrome as well, so I'm not particularly good with people.
Right.
And situations.
Oh, you're good with me. This is working out great. So here's what I did not know about you, that you are a pilot.
Yeah.
And when did that, I know you were fascinated with music and machines early on in your life, but when did the flying thing come in? Your dad, I think, worked at Heathrow or something?
Yeah, it doesn't come from there, though. I'd loved airplanes my whole life. In fact, I'd almost finished my first basic pilot's course when the singles took off, and so I had to stop to go and tour, and I went back to it later. But I was an air display pilot. I don't fly Cessnas and things like that.
What does an air display pilot do?
You know, you go to an air show and they're going upside down and flicking around, and
that's you.
I do that. I used to teach that.
Oh my God! Wait, did you do that with Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden too?
No, I flew him though before he was qualified. I gave him a ride in the back of mine.
Do you still have planes?
No, not anymore. I did it for about 15 years. Pretty much everyone I knew that did it was killed in one crash or another. It's really dangerous.
Yeah, yeah.
and then at some point, I was an examiner for it actually, so I was right at the front end of trying to make it safer.
Yeah.
And then we had children. Well, I had a child, and we had a second and a third child, and it just seemed too reckless a thing to do as a hobby.
Yeah.
Gemma,
a father.
I had a really close friend that was killed, many actually, but one particular one that was killed that really upset my wife, and she didn't want me to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So there was no support from home to be doing it.
Right.
And the kids want to do other things. They'd rather go to Disneyland than sit on a muddy field watching Dad flying around.
Right. Yeah.
So life just changed, but I do miss it.
Yeah. What's it like as a pilot sitting in planes? Is it like, are you always like noticing things that other people don't notice, or like the things that the pilot is doing, or like when you're just taking a normal flight from LA to New York or to London or whatever?
No, you watch. You can't see the pilot, unfortunately.
Right.
Because
yeah.
you make sure he's not drunk or something. But you do. You keep your eye on things, and I'm always checking Gemma. You feel the turbulence coming, and make sure she's got a seatbelt on. Or when we're coming into land, waiting for the noise of the gear coming down, and so they haven't forgotten. You can't help it.
Of course. Yeah.
It's part of you to just keep looking around and checking.
Gary Numan is with us. His new album, Savage Songs from a Broken World. And the making this new album, it's kind of apocalyptical, post-global warming kind of theme going through this album.
Yeah. It's come from a book. I've been writing a book for quite a few years.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to. So it's my first attempt at writing a novel, because I'd like to do that in the future. That's how I see myself ending up, writing novels rather than music. When it came time to write the album, life was. I normally write about problems, things that have been gone in my life that are an issue, and so on. But life was pretty good. Moved to America, very happy. Kids are good. We're all cool.
Los Angeles, right?
Yeah. So I thought, what to write about. So I started to steal ideas from the book, and it became all of it. It became the whole album eventually. And the book is set in a post-global warming apocalyptic future. It's extremely hostile. It's very desert-like. People are hostile and brutal because they need to be to survive. Eastern and Western cultures have merged, and all that was going on. So trying to convert that into music, and then the election happened, and Donald Trump comes along and started to talk about coming out of the Paris Accord, which I thought was a beautiful moment. When the whole world came together. Yeah, me too. And finally started to do something grown up and positive, and it felt like we just stepped back from the abyss, and then Trump just pushed us right back up to it again. Well, his timing was impeccable for your new album. Shockingly impeccable, yeah. So it gave it a resonance. It gave it a real-world relevance, actually, which it didn't have before Trump, to be honest, but not in a good way, unfortunately. But it made it far more interesting to write about, and it gave it far more importance to me. I don't mean it's worldly important, but to me it became a much important thing than simply stealing ideas from a book. It meant something to me because of Trump. Well, this first single I love. It's called "My Name Is Ruin," and I saw the video for this, and it kind of reminded me of maybe something out of the Burning Man Festival or Mad Max, or as you described, a post apocalyptic, post global warming world. Your daughter's in the video, right? Yeah, that must have been fun for her, right? Was it a really long shoot? Was it like 2 days? Oh, 2 days. Okay, right. Yeah, she's on the record. She actually sings on it. Oh, she is. Okay. Yeah, I've been working on that song on a particular day, and the various things that I tried to do vocally with my own voice hadn't really worked out the way I'd hoped. My voice just didn't suit it, those particular parts. She came home from school, and I said, while you're here, she's a brilliant singer. She can absolutely out-sing me already. She's only 11. Got a control on her voice, which is phenomenal. Yeah. So she, that's her career if she wants it easily. Anyway, she never sung in a studio before, actually, but she did 3 separate parts, multi-tracked them all, absolutely nailed it in about 30 minutes. Oh, man. Having never heard the song at all. And then she's got ADD, so she just wandered off, lost interest and went back inside. Did she say like a week later, "Dad, I really loved that. Like, can we do more?" Like, I mean, what? No, she's enjoyed the experience. Yeah, she did the video shoot. She really enjoyed that, and we did it. We went way out into the deep desert, and it was ferociously hot. Was that like hot. Joshua Tree? Where was that? Yeah, 29 Palms near Joshua Tree. Okay, yeah. And what was the temperature that day? It looked like 118. Oh, wow. It was a heat wave. They had a heat wave in the desert. Lucky us. It was ferocious. It really was.
Oh, but it's a dry heat. It's not a wet, but whatever. It's still 118. Yeah. My God. Gary Numan is his name. His new album is Savage, Songs from a Broken World. We'll hold it up one more time here. The 22nd studio album, and we'll see you do a show in New York sometime soon, hopefully.
Yeah, I think we're coming to New York on December the 7th. We do a North American tour starting second week of November, I think, and we run through nearly up to Christmas. Before that, we're doing Britain and Europe in October.
Okay, great.
And then off for Christmas, and next year. We'll be touring again all next year as well.
Oh, fantastic. So we'll go to Gary's website or his Facebook for all the tour dates. Gary, thank you so much for stopping by. Real pleasure to meet you and talk with you, and best of luck. We'll see you here in December, I guess.
Thank you. Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you very much.
New York's classic rock, Q1043.